So today we are going to start by dealing with the plant hormones. Then if we still have time, we will go back to the endocrine system as well as the homeostasis. Then on the 9th, we'll come back to do the evolution as well as the human impact. But for today, we are going to deal with the 3 topics: the plant hormones, as well as the endocrine system and the homeostasis. Are you okay with that? Thanks a lot. So I'm not going to teach you, but I'm just going to give you the tips on how are we going to tackle these things when it comes to the exams. Right? All right, colleagues. So today we have to start by looking at the plant hormones. So when we talk about the plant hormones, as you know very well that from the endocrine system, we've talked about the hormones in the hormones which are the hormones that are found there in humans, like when we talk about the endocrine system. But we know very well that when we talk about the hormones, we must understand that when it comes to plants, in fact, we say the plant hormones, but in reality, it is not referred to as the plant hormones. We are just talking about the plant growth substances. The reason is because in humans, when we talk about the hormones, there are many hormones that are produced by the different glands. And those hormones, they perform different functions. For example, some hormones may be produced in order to control the sugar level, just like the insulin and the glucagon. But some hormones may also control the growth, just like what? Just like the growth hormone of the hypophysis, as well as the testosterone and the progesterone, which also takes over for the development of the male characteristic, is it? And then when we talk about the plants, the hormones that are there in plants, they are only responsible for what? They are only responsible for growth. As we know very well that when we talk about this plant hormones, we just refer to the 3 hormones, which is the auxins, the gibberellins, as well as the abscisic acid. All the 3 hormones that I mentioned in plants, they are only dealing with what? They are only dealing with the growth. That is the reason why we are referring them to as the plant growth substances rather than calling the plant hormones. But we used to say the plant hormones, but we know that they are what we call the plant growth substances, because they only deal with the growth. So as I mentioned that now, when we talk about this about these plant hormones or the growth substances, we know that these are hormones. We have got the auxins, the gibberellins, as well as what? As well as the abscisic acid. One thing that you need to understand very well, or for your learners to know, is that they must know the general functions of the 3 hormones. For example, when we talk about the gibberellins, you must know that the gibberellins is there to do what? It is there to promote the seed germination, as well as also to promote the fruit development. So those are what we call, those are the functions, because it's there. As you look at the board, I think it is showing there on your board. Is there anything that you see on your smart board? Machuma? Kanejalo? Anything you see from our smart board? Now, thank you very much. As you see, that there are these functions for the gibberellins, because when we look at the plant hormones, you must know the 3 functions of this what we call you must know the functions of these 3 plant hormones that I'm talking about. It's the auxins, gibberellins, and the abscisic acid. So here are the functions. These are the functions that this is a summary of the functions that your learners must know. That the gibberellins, they just bring about what? They just bring about the elongation of the internodes. As you see here, it brings about the elongation of the internodes of stems. And the other thing is the stimulation of the root growth. And also, that too promotes what? A development of the flower, as well as the sprouting of buds. You know very well know that if we talk about what? About the abscisic acid. By the way, the abscisic acid is like it is an opposite of the gibberellins. Because this abscisic acid, what they do is what this gibberellins is not able to do. Because in this case, if we say that this thing called what we call a gibberellins, it brings about the sprouting of buds which are dormant. Because we know that during winter, what happens? Sometimes we may look at the plant whereby we don't able to see even the leaves because we know what is happening during winter. So, but the plant is not dead by the time. It's only that the plant is dormant. Why? Because the conditions are unfavorable. When the conditions are becoming favorable, then the plant will come out from the dormant state, isn't it? For example, if we say that the conditions are unfavorable, it is because during winter we don't have water. We don't have water. Usually the soil is dry. So you know very well that for the plant to be able to photosynthesize, there must be water. So if water is not there, the conditions are unfavorable. So what needs to happen? Then the plant, this thing now which is called the gibberellins now, it is produced now in order to do what? In order to make sure that the buds, they what we call it, this thing it promotes the buds which are dormant. So in fact, that is done by the abscisic acid, which it brings about the dormant. So this abscisic acid, it makes sure that when the conditions are unfavorable, everything becomes dormant. Why? Because we don't have enough water, so the conditions are unfavorable. But when the conditions are becoming favorable again, what happens? The plant produces this hormone called the gibberellins, so that it can do what? So that this gibberellins is able to do what we call to promote the sprouting of buds that were dormant. By the way, the abscisic acid causes a dormance. Then the gibberellins, it is just taking what was dormant there and then making them to sprout so that the buds are coming out again. And this thing called what? An abscisic acid, it slows down metabolism and protect plant against unfavorable conditions or unsuitable conditions. Why? It is because if the seeds can germinate, if the conditions are unfavorable, that thing is not going to be successful. The plant will be there, but the plant will not be able to produce the fruit or whatever thing. Then what needs to happen? So this hormone, which is called an abscisic acid, it must make sure that the plant remains dormant. And what is happening? There must be no seed germination, because if it can germinate, it can easily die because the conditions are unfavorable. But when the conditions are becoming favorable again, what happens? This, what we call it, the same plant, it produces another hormone called the gibberellins. And what will be done by the gibberellins? So this gibberellins, it just promotes the sprouting of buds. By the way, you can see that these two hormones are working against each other. Why? Because they want to make sure that the plant survives. Then, after these two hormones, you have to understand which this gibberellins is also having these two functions. Because if you see in a paper that there is a promotion of the development of flowers, anything that talks about the flower and talks about the root growth in plants, that thing is done by the gibberellins, because all the other parts, they have nothing to do with the flowers and the roots. The only hormone that is responsible for the flowers and the roots are only the gibberellins. Then going to the last hormone, which is the auxin. What is done by the auxin? I think we know very well about the auxin. So this auxin, generally, we have these three functions for the auxins which are important. One of the functions is to stimulate the cell elongation, and the other one is to promote the fruit growth. It makes sure that the fruits are growing. Then another function is to bring about the tropism, which I think this is the important function of it. This is the important function, which is to bring about the tropism. As we know very well that when we talk about what? When we talk about the tropism, we must understand that this tropism refers to what? Refers to the bending reaction in plant. By the way, as we say that this tropism, it brings about the bending reaction. So, not that this is the important function of the auxins. The other two functions are very important, but we know very well that examiners, they like this function of the tropism. Why? It is because we understand that this thing called the auxin, it is able to bring about the tropism in plant, and it can bring it in different ways. For example, by the way, when we talk about the tropism, we need to understand that there are only two types of the tropism. We have the geotropism as well as the phototropism. Do not tell your learners about the hydrotropism. It was there, but it is no longer there. According to our exam guideline, we talk about only two tropism, which is the geotropism and the phototropism. So in this case, we understand that in this case, as we talk about the tropism, we know very well that when we talk about the plant, what happens? Say for example, we are just studying a plant. Here, this is my plant. What you know about the plant is that the plant, it does have what we call, it does have the shoots or the stem part, is it? And then our plant, it does have the roots as well. So as our plant is having the roots and the stem as well, what happens now? In this case, I want to demonstrate this thing called the tropism. One thing that we need to understand is that here, because this tropism is one of the functions of what we call, it is one of the functions of the auxins, because these are the auxins that are able to bring about that growth movement known as a tropism. So as the roots, as the auxins are bringing about this tropism, what we need to understand is that this tropism, they are produced at a certain point of the plant. For example, the auxins are produced where? At the tip of the plants. Which tips are those? Those are the what we call, those are the stem and the roots. By the way, at the tip of the stem, that is where we produce the auxins. Here at the tip of the stem, we are producing the auxins. And also where? Here at the tip of the root, they are what we call, they are auxins that are produced. So, as you understand now that the auxins are produced there at the tip of the stem. So what you need to understand now is that when the auxins are produced there at the tip of the stem, these auxins must move downwards evenly. If the auxins are produced there at the tip of the stem, the auxins must move downwards evenly. They must go downwards evenly as they are produced there. And the auxins that are produced at the tip of the root, they must do what? They may also move upwards evenly. By the way, the whole part of the root must have the auxins as they are moving upwards, as well as here in the stem. As the auxins are produced there at the tip, they must move downwards evenly. So the whole part of a root must have what of the stem, must have the auxins. They are what we call, they are evenly distributed. And then what we need to do now is to show this. Because when we talk about what? When we talk about this tropism, we must understand that we have got the geotropism and the phototropism. As we know very well that here, this thing called the tropism, which is a growth movement towards a stimulus. So one thing that you need to understand is that when the plants are growing, at all times, the plants are growing towards a certain stimulus. So the parts of the plant that are growing are two. It is the roots and the shoots or the stems. So the stem, if the stem is growing, it grows in response to that particular stimulus. Even the root, if the root is growing, it is growing towards a certain stimulus. So in this case, as I'm saying that we do have the phototropism and we do have the geotropism. What we need to understand is this. In this case of a phototropism, we need to understand this. There is something in this pen. Yes, as we have this phototropism, as I'm saying that now, we have this thing, tropism. We all know that tropism is a growth movement towards a stimulus. Then, as we know that tropism is a growth movement towards a stimulus, what we need to understand is this. We have geotropism and phototropism. But we all know this term, tropism. So in this case, where is the tropism? This definition, a growth movement towards the stimulus, it must be there. Then, the only thing that we are adding here is this thing photo, and this thing that we are adding here is this thing geo. So if we are adding this photo means light. It means light. This photo refers to light. So if we say phototropism, we are saying that here, this is what we call, there is a growth movement. We take this tropism, which is a growth movement towards the stimulus. But in this case, because we have photo there, So what is happening? So, this thing which is a tropism is a growth movement, but not it is towards the light, because it is now a phototropism. And this geo means what? This geo means gravity. So in this case, when the plant part is growing, it will grow towards the stimulus of gravity. Geo means gravity, photo means light. So if you talk about the phototropism, we are talking about the growth movement of a plant towards what? Of a plant part towards a stimulus of light. Then if you talk about the geotropism, it is still, because there is that tropism, it is still a growth movement, but it is towards the gravity now, because of that because of the geotropism. And we know very well that those are the two parts. Now, we want to see now how this thing happens. So, if we talk about this geotropism, let me just show you something now, in order to explain this thing of a geotropism and the phototropism as well. Look at the diagrams that I have here. As I have these two beautiful diagrams, one thing that you see from these diagrams is that here I have what we call LA, I've got this pot plant, and also here I've got also what we call this plant B, this pot plant B. What I want to show here, I want to demonstrate this thing of a phototropism. But before we go there, let me just have a clean board. Right, in this case, let me have this shoot first, just to demonstrate this thing before we go there to the beautiful diagrams. Let me say here, we just have this thing, which represents what? Which represents a stem or a shoot. Then underneath here we have what we call the root. Where is the tip of the shoot? Here is the tip of a shoot. And where is the tip of a root? Here is the tip of a root. What we know about this tip of a stem and this tip of a root, what is happening here? We produce the auxins. And what is happening here? We produce the auxins as well. As we are producing the auxins here and the auxins here, what is going to happen? In this case, when the auxins are producing, the auxins will move upwards evenly. And when auxins are produced at the table, these auxins will move downwards evenly. So the whole part of what? The whole part of a shoot is going to get the auxins. What is the other function of the auxins? That auxins, it stimulates cell elongation. The other function of what? The other function, other than what? Other than a tropism, the other function of the auxins, which is very important, is to stimulate the cell elongation. In this case, if we say that cell elongation, for example, if we have a cell of this size, if we cell elongate, what happens? This cell is just stretching. It becomes bigger now. It becomes bigger. We had the cell of what? We had the cell of the size. But if the cell is elongating now, this cell is just stretching. So what do you think has happened to the cell? The cell, it is now enlarged, or it is now grown. Meaning what? Meaning if there is a cell elongation in the plant, the plant will grow in size, because by the way, the plant has got the cells everywhere. So all the cells of the plant, where there is an auxin, the cells are going to be elongated. And if the cells elongate, the plant is growing. So that is what is happening. So this thing auxin is there for the cell elongation. Originally, if we have this cell of the size, if that cell elongates, it becomes what we call longer, like this one. So it is now growing. Then, as we do have now our auxins, what is going to happen? If this whole part of a stem is having the auxin, what to expect to happen to the what we call it, to this thing? So if the cell elongation is taking place here, this plant will grow straight upwards. Why it is growing straight upwards? Because the auxins now is now elongating the whole part of what the whole part of a plant. That is what is also happening here in the roots now. So if we do have what we call here, if we do have the auxins produced and equally distributed, what is going to happen? There will be a cell elongation in the roots. As a result, the roots now will grow as well. So when the root is growing, it is growing straight downwards. And what do we call that growth movement? So that growth movement, the plant is growing. This is a growth movement of a plant part. By the way, it's a growth movement of a root towards the stimulus of gravity. Because here is the gravity. Because this root now is growing downwards. So we say the root is growing towards gravity. What kind of a growth movement is this one? Or what kind of tropism is this one? This one is a geotropism. Because it is the root now that is growing towards the stimulus of gravity. So this is a geotropism. But what is done by the stem there? The stem is growing, what you call it? The stem is growing away from what? Away from the gravity. It is growing upwards. What kind of a tropism is this one, which is shown by the stem here? Let me just ask Amachuba. The birds, Amachu. Or it's called Memela Amachu. Amachuba. Kanyajaro. Phototropism. Okay, Pumashe, what kind of tropism is this one? That is shown by the stem. Pumashe? Oh, Pumash. What kind of tropism is this one? Shown by the stem here. Phototropism. Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. Kanyanjaro, what kind of tropism which is shown by the stem here? Are you there, Kanyanjaro? Kanyanjaro? Phototropism. Okay, guys. Let me tell you now that let us move together, guys. Amachuba, Pumashi, Kanyanjaro, Zinyati, let us move together now, in order to find out what kind of growth is, what kind of a tropism is this one. In this case, starting from the root now is growing. Umlazi district. What kind of tropism is this one? They are smiling. They say that no. Alright, in this case, as we are looking at this one, we used to say that one. Because if we are defining the phototropism, we say it is a growth movement towards the stimulus of light, is it? Because there is a photo. Then, if the plant part is growing towards gravity, we say it's a geotropism, is it? In this case, we need to understand that we have the root. If we talk about the roots, we must understand that the roots, they are positively geotropic, because all the time the roots are growing towards gravity. So they are positively geotropic, is it? And the stem, you cannot say, you can never find the stem growing downwards through the soil, is it? So the stem is always growing away from the gravity, is it? So we say the stem is negatively geotropic, is it? Then again, if the stem here is growing and this stem is growing away from what? It is growing away from gravity. The stem is growing away from gravity, is it? But in this case, we don't have a light. We only say phototropism if there is light. Are we together, Pungashe? Yeah. We say phototropism only if the stem is growing towards stimulus of light, is it? Is there any light that you see here? Amacho, talk to me. Pumash, say something. Is there a light in this diagram that you see? No light, is it? No light. No light. So how comes you say it's a photo? Because we talk about photo if there is light. In the case where there is no light, we don't talk about phototropism. In the case where there is no gravity, we don't talk about gravity. Now, I find you saying that this growth movement is a phototropism, but there is no light. The plant part there is just growing straight upwards, not to the light, because there is no light, is it? So this is not a phototropism, because we are saying that the stem can grow towards the stimulus of light. So if the stem is growing towards the stimulus of light, do we say it's a phototropism? Correctly so. But if there is no light, the stem now is growing away from the gravity. We say the stem is negatively geotropic. By the way, the type of tropism that is shown by the roots here is a geotropism. And the type of tropism shown by this stem here is a geotropism again. The only thing is that this tropism shown by the roots here is a positive geotropism, whereas the one that is shown by the stem here is a negative geotropism. Are we together? Oh yes, are we together now?
Yes.
Yes, because guys, we only talk about what? We only talk about phototropism if there is a light. As we know from the definition, that geotropism is a growth movement towards the stimulus of light. In the case where there is no light, we don't talk about the phototropism. Because the plant part either is positively geotropic or is negatively geotropic. So in this case, the stem is growing away from gravity, so it is negatively geotropic. So this is what is shown here is a geotropism, and also this side is a geotropism as well. Talk, I want to hear what you say there. Any comment? Any comment? Pumashe? Josine? I hear the comment from the background. If you say something about this, please come out so that we can correct each other.
What about the stem of a fen plant?
Pardon?
Stem of a fen plant, because it's a rhizome, underground stem. What happened to it?
If it is growing upwards, that would be negative geotropism. If it is growing downwards, it will be a positive.
The rhizome.
Yes.
Underground stem.
Yes, underground stem. It's horizontal.
Yes.
But somewhere, somehow, in order to search for water, it bends downwards. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Let us move here now. In this case now, what I have here on my board, I do have two pot plants, is it? Do you see the pot plants there? So my examiner says study the diagrams below of an experiment that was set up. The apparatus were left standing for 3 days. This is just an investigation, is it? So in this investigation, in plant A, I just have a pot plant, and this pot plant, it is in a cupboard, if you can see, or it was placed in a cupboard, and this pot plant B was also placed in a cupboard, as we see here from the diagram. But the only thing that you need to understand is that these two plants are the young plant. Why are we using the young plants? Because they are the older plants, is it? So they can easily show the results faster than the older plant. That is why we are using the younger plants. Then on this what we call on the box here in what we call on this plant A, we have just have an opening in the box. Also here in plant B, we have just have an opening in the box. And what is happening through these openings? We have the light coming from one side, is it? On both of these plants, is it? But the only thing is that the two pot plants were placed where? They were placed on the rotating clinostat. So if we say that rotating clinostat, it simply means that here, the plant that is there is continuously rotating. It rotates all the time. But what you can see here is that although we are having this rotating clinostat, but there is a light that is coming from one side, is it? On plant B, we have the plant placed on a clinostat, on a block, not on a clinostat. meaning that this plant B is not rotating. Then, what do you expect there after 3 days from plant A? You can see what is happening in plant A after 3 days, and you can see what is happening on the plant B after 3 days, is it? If we look at the plant A is growing straight upwards. What causes this plant A to grow straight upwards? Because one thing that you expect is that if we have a plant like this, let me say this hand of mine is a plant. If this is a plant and there is a light coming from this side, what can happen? We expect this plant after 3 days to bend towards the direction of light, because we understand that the auxins are produced where? At the tip of the stem, is it? And when the auxins are produced, they want to be distributed evenly or equally on all sides, is it? But the thing is, one thing that you know about the auxins, that auxins are affected by the light. Not that auxins are destroyed by the light, but they are affected by the light. So as they are affected by the light, the auxins will decide to move on a darker side. Then the auxins, we know very well that the auxins, where the auxins are found, they do what? They elongate the cells, or they stimulate the cell elongation. So if the auxins decide to move on this darker side, what is going to happen? The auxins here will cause the stem to grow faster on the darker side. And this side exposed to light will grow slowly. As a result, the plant will bend towards the direction of light. And we easily say that the stem is growing towards the stimulus of light. And that type of a tropism is a phototropism, is it? Then, in this case, plant B is showing us this. Here we've got the plant, and here we've got the block. The plant is placed on a block. And what is happening? The plant was straight, just like this one. But after 3 days, because of that opening, there is a light coming from this side. As the light is coming from this side, the auxins, what happens? As they were produced at the tip of what we call at the tip of a stem, these auxins will simply move on the darker side. So the auxins on the darker side will cause more cell elongation. As a result, the plant on the darker side will grow what? Will grow faster. And the plant on the side exposed to light will grow slowly. As a result, the plant will grow towards the stimulus of light. And this type of a tropism is referred to as a phototropism. But in the case whereby we have the very same plant, young plant, this young plant now is based on what? On a rotating phenostat. So what happens here? The auxins are produced here at the tip of what we call at the tip of a shoot. As the auxins are produced there at the tip of a shoot, what happens? These auxins will move to a darker side because auxins are affected by light. But the only thing is that this thing, as the auxins are moving to a darker side, the clinostat keep on rotating. So the side where the auxins were going to will move to the side of a light, and the auxin will try to move to this direction. As the auxins are trying to move to this direction, the auxins now will end up evenly distributed, which will cause this planet to grow straight upwards. So what is the role of the clinostat in this experiment? Can you tell me the role of the clinostat in this experiment? Let me choose Pungashe. Can you tell me the role of the clinostat in this experiment? Pungashe?
It will rotate and make sure that each oxygen is evenly distributed.
The clinostat is a rotating clinostat. So the role of this clinostat here is to ensure that the auxins are evenly distributed. So these auxins now will the clinostat will make sure that now it cancels the effect of light on from one side, is it? Because although the light is coming from one side, but because the clinostat light will keep on rotating. So this phenotype now will cancel what? Will cancel will cancel this thing of the light from one side. By the way, now the light will be will be found in all directions of the plant, because every part of the plant will be exposed to to the light. Is it? Yeah, very good, Kumashi. The reasoning is correct, because this phenotype is just making this thing to act like a control, because the light will have no effect now on the growth of a plant. So it makes this thing to be like to act as a control, because the effect of light here is not going to be shown. So the plant here is not going to grow towards the direction of light. So as the plant here will continue to grow straight upwards, what kind of tropism will be shown by plant A? What kind of tropism will be shown by plant A? Phototropism. Okay. What kind of tropism will be shown by plant B? What kind of tropism is shown by plant A? Are they growing to the same direction? Is plant A growing towards the direction of light? Is the plant growing towards the direction of light? Plant A, it is a negative geotropism, because in this case the light has got no effect on the growth of the plant, is it? The plant will continue to grow straight upwards. Is there a light from above? No light. We only say phototropism if the plant is only responding to the stimulus of light only. You see this thing? Those are the tricks that the examiners will come with in this case. Yeah, because this thing of a light, you only say photo if there is an effect of light. If there is no effect of light, you don't talk about phototropism. Because when we define phototropism, we say is a growth movement towards the direction of light. So if the plant is not going to the direction of light, that is not phototropism. Okay? Very good. Thank you very much. You must thank you. Thanks, really. You see this diagram here, guys? You see this diagram? Let me increase the font. Is it clear now? Clear? Yeah. Look at this diagram here. I've got two plants here. The diagram A shows an upright pot plant. Diagram B shows the same pot plant 1 week after. This diagram is still this diagram, but this is diagram earlier, this is diagram later, is it? The plant was exposed to uniform light from all directions before and after falling. So the plant is exposed to a unilateral light. There is a light from all sides, is it? This plant is not in a dark cupboard, is it? Here we do have a light. Where the light here? The light is found from all directions, is it? As we are having a light from all directions, what do you expect the growth of a plant? What is going to happen to a plant? Since the auxins, because if the plant is exposed to a unilateral light, to a uniform light, so the light is coming from all sides. If this hand of mine is a plant, there is a light this side, a light this side, light this side, light this side, light this side. Where do you think the auxins will move? Nowhere else, is it? So the auxins will be forced, when they are produced here at the table, the auxins will be forced to move evenly. As a result, the plant will do what we call, will grow straight upwards, is it? up until there is a strong wind, whereby the plant will be forced to fall, is it? So as the plant is falling now, afterwards, after 3 weeks, what happens to the plant? The plant just fell, and the plant was straight like this. You know, what happens? Sorry. As you see here, the plant just fell, and the plant was just like this. After falling, the plant was just like this. So this is a plant after falling. You see. So then, what happens now? So what happens now? The plant after 3 weeks, you can see the plant. What is happening to this plant B now? After some weeks, what happens? Can you tell me, guys? What happened to this plant now? It was like this. It was straight like this. But after some weeks, the plant now is doing something. It is no longer straight. Do you see? Do you see the plant? What is happening to the plant? Is it still growing horizontal?
No.
What is happening now? The shoot is growing upwards, is it? But the light is uniform, is it? The light is uniform, is it? Even in this part of a plant, there is what? Even in this part of a plant, there is a light. This side, there is a light. Oh. You see? So this side of a plant, we have light. This side we have light. This side we have light. This side we have light. But the plant decided to what we call to bend and grow in this side. What do you think is the cause now? One thing that we know very well, guys, is this. From this plant, the auxins are produced here at the tip, is it? Or the auxins, yes, are produced here at the tip of a shoot, is it? But the light is founded from all sides of the plant, which needs to what is supposed to happen? The plant is supposed to grow straight upwards because all the parts of the plant have the auxins. But in this case, the plant is just bending upwards. Why? It is because if we have this shoot here, like here, when the auxins are produced here, what happens? As the auxins are produced here, then the auxins now will move where it will move to the lower side. Because of what? Because of the force of gravity. So meaning what? Meaning that the auxins now will accumulate on the lower side of what? On the lower side of the stem. If the auxins are found more on the lower side, what is the other function of the auxins? These auxins, they stimulate the cell elongation. So if there is more cell elongation on the lower side, this stem will grow faster on the lower side and growing slowly on the upper side. As a result, the stem will grow upwards. That is why we see the stem, we see what we call this plant growing upwards like this now. Why? It is because of what? It is because of the auxins. Because as the auxins were producing, because the light is found from all sides. Now the light has got no effect on these auxins now. As a result, when the auxins are produced here, because of gravity, the auxins now will move on the lower side. Causing what? Causing this lower side to grow faster because it will stimulate a cell elongation. And the upper side will grow slowly. And then the shoot will be forced to bend upwards. What kind of tropism is this one? What kind of tropism is this one? Shown by plant B. It is a negative geotropism. Very good. It is a geotropism. Why? Because the light has got no effect on this plot of a plant, isn't it? Because the light is bound from this direction. The light is bound from this direction. The light is also bound from this direction. Because our opening statement says that here, the diagram shows the same pot plant after 1 week falling over. The plant was exposed to uniform light. So, the light is bound from all sides. So there is not that there is a light on the upper side. No, the light is bound on all sides. That is why we say that oxygens now, they are going downwards, not because they are moving away from the stimulus of light. They are just going down because of the gravity and causing the self-elongation on the lower side and what we call, and then the lower side growing faster and the upper side growing slowly, then causing the plant to grow upwards.
I think Mr. Memela should also emphasize the difference between uniform light as well as unilateral light.
Yes. Thank you. Because if you talk about uniform light, uniform, everything is the same. That is uniform. That's why our learners are wearing a uniform. Everything is the same, supposed to be the same. Uniform light is a light from all sides, whereas unilateral is a light from one side. Because learners, they got confused if they see that light from one side. But no, uniform, light from all sides. Unilateral, light from one side. Move on. Yeah. This one which I will take to. Look at this diagram here. Do you see the diagram again here? You see this diagram? Just a pot plant, is it? But our pot plant is just there. We are not told whether we have a light there or something. We just have the diagram whereby we have to study, we have to answer the questions that are following, is it? So in this case, we can just simply ask what phenomenon is illustrated by the pot plant here. So in this case, because we don't see any light here, is it? Is there a light here? There is no light, is it? So if we don't have a light, it's obvious. The thing that we are showing here is a geotropism. Because the plant is growing away from the stimulus of gravity, is it? Because one thing that we knew is that when we see the shoot, we used to say phototropism. But if you want to talk about phototropism, there must be a light first. Before we talk about phototropism, light must be there. If there is no light, not a phototropism. Thank you. I think now you understand this thing now. I want to show the roots now. Where are the roots?
Okay. I think, yeah.
Now, let us talk about the roots now. Now, I want to talk about the tropism now in roots now. In this case, what I have here, I just have a maize seedling. That maize seedling was placed horizontally. So this is a seed which is germinating here. We have what we call here a seedling. So we say it's a seedling because our seed it is now germinating. So as the seed now is showing to germinate, we know very well that when the seed is germinating, it will develop the radicle and the shoot. So in this case, we have the shoot, the side, and then we have this root, or the radical, which is going to become the root very soon. So we've got the root part here, we've got the shoot part this side. As we know very well that the stem or the shoot is always negatively geotropic, because when we are growing our seeds, underneath there is no what? There is no light, is it? It is in the soil, is it? So there is no light. So we cannot say that if the seed is just terminating the shoot, is growing towards the stimulus of light, because it is under the soil where there is no light. So in this case, we expect this shoot part, when the seed is still in the soil, to grow upwards. Why? Because the shoot part is always negatively geotropic. So we expect what? We expect this root part, even if it is horizontal, but at the end, we expect the root part to grow downwards. Why? Because the roots are positively geotropic. Then in this case, our seedling is horizontally like this, is it? The shoot the side and the root the side. Then we have this B, possible positions of the root and shoot in the seedling after a few days. This is a possible one. This is a possible seedling. We can see the shoot here is now bending upwards, is it? And we can see the root. It is now bending downwards. What is shown by the seedling there? What kind of tropism is shown by the seedling here? By seedling B? Pumashe? Seedling. It is? What kind of tropism is shown by seedling B? Just one way only. It is a geotropism, because the seed is underground, is it? So underground there is no photo, there is no light, is it? So the thing is, it's only that we know that the shoot is positively, we know that the shoot is negatively geotropic and the root is positively geotropic. So the root will grow downwards and the shoot will grow upwards, is it? So in this case, I want to talk about this thing, that from this shoot A, one thing that we understand very well is that the only thing that can cause the growth, or one thing that can cause the growth here, are the auxins, is it? And we know where the auxins are produced in the root, is it? In the root, the auxins are produced at the tip of the root. And in the shoot, auxins are produced at the tip of the shoot. And what do we expect to happen there? We expect these auxins to move what? To move evenly, is it? Or to be evenly distributed. So in this case, from the shoot, we know that when the auxins are produced, when the auxins are producing at the tip, what is going to happen? These auxins are going to do what we call to move to a lower side. Because of what? Because of the gravity. As a result, the auxins on the lower side of the shoot will stimulate more cell elongation. Then the lower side will grow faster and the upper side will grow slowly. As a result, this shoot will bend upwards or will grow upwards. Because of what? Because of the auxins that are higher, in a higher way, because of the higher concentration of auxins where? Because of the higher concentration of auxins on the lower side, which will cause more cell elongation. Then, coming to the roots, the auxins are produced here. And we know very well that if the root is horizontally like this one, when the auxins are produced at the tip of a root, what is going to happen? Because of the what? Because of the gravity, the auxins will move to a lower side of the root. Then, in this case, what is going to happen? What is happening here is not going to happen this side. Why? It is because the auxins, they have got what? They have got a different effect on the different plant parts. The auxins in roots are able to inhibit the growth. Whereas the side with more auxins in the root will grow slowly, and the side with a lesser auxins will grow faster. Why is that so? It is because these auxins, they have what? They have a different effect on different parts of a plant. So the auxins here, where there is a higher concentration of auxins on the lower side, the root will grow slowly. Where there are what? Where there is a less concentration of auxins on the upper side of the root, it will grow what? It will grow faster. As a result, if this part is growing slowly and this one growing faster, then the root will bend downwards. And then now, we used to say that here, this root is positively geotropic. Are we together?
Yes.
Together is one. Because we know this thing that things they have the different effects on different parts, is it? Just like the temperature. The temperature may have a different effect on the different parts, is it? Say for example, you just take maybe we are just making the blocks or the steel, the red steel or the blocks, is it? When you want it to become hard, what you can do? You can take it and put it where you can just expose it to the sun, where it will get a higher temperature. Then it will become stronger. But if you take the ice cube and you're putting where there is a higher temperature, what happens to the ice cube? It will melt. Why? It is because the temperature has got the different effects on the different things, isn't it? Just like the auxins. The auxins is not having the same effect on the different parts of the plant. Here in the shoot, it promotes the cell elongation, but on the roots, it inhibits the cell elongation. That is how the auxins are working. Together. Thank you. Then let me just move to the endocrine system. Before. Oh. Alright guys, before we are moving to the endocrine system, any questions that you have? Apical dominance. Oh. Apical dominance. Okay. Let us have a plant here. Then we have the auxins are produced here at the top, is it? And then we have the branches here. The branches this side. Then in this case, what is happening here at the tip of this of the branches? There are auxins that are also produced there, is it? Then the thing is, in this case, when the auxins are produced here, what happens? These auxins, they just move downwards evenly, is it? Then, the thing that is happening is that these auxins, they inhibit what? They inhibit the growth of the lateral branches, is it? If there are more auxins, where the more auxins are produced, let me say here, from here, up to here, where do you think we are going to find more auxins between this part of the plant and this part of the plant? Knowing very well that more auxins are always produced where? At the tip of the shoot, is it? So it means that we are going to have more auxins on the top branches than the branches on the lower side, is it? Are we together on that? That because the source of auxins is there at the tip of the stem, is it? Then on the lower side, the auxins will reach the lower side when the auxin is very, very low, is it? So the top branches will receive more auxins compared to the lower branches, is it? Are we together?
Yes.
And what is done by the auxins on the branches? The auxins inhibit the growth of the lateral branches. So if there are more auxins here at top, these branches will grow slowly because it will be inhibited by the auxins from growing faster, is it? Then the branches that are underneath these branches will also grow, but will grow slightly bigger than what? Than the branches on top. Why it is not growing too wide? Because the auxins are also here to inhibit the growth of these branches, is it? But which branches between the two will grow slower than the other? So the upper branches will grow more slower than the lower branches. Why? Because there are more auxins on the upper branches. So there will be more inhibition of growth where on the top branches than on the lower branches, is it? Then comparing these branches to the other branches here, these branches here will grow a bit longer than the branches on the upper side, is it? Why? Because the inhibition is, we also have an inhibition of the lateral branches here, but the inhibition is not the same as the branches which are next to the source of what we call of the auxins, is it? As a result, the branches on the upper side are growing more slower than the branches on the lower side. As a result, then the plant now is just showing this apical domains. It shows us this cone shape, what we call this cone shape growth now. This is what is referred to as an apical domains. Why? It is because the branches on the branches on top are growing very slowly because there are more auxins to inhibit the growth on the top branches. And the branches underneath, there is also an inhibition of the growth. But because there is a lesser concentration of auxins on the lower branches, so the branches on the lower side will grow more than the branches on the upper side. As a result, the plant is going to show us these apical domains. Okay. Are we okay?
Yes.
Okay, asithi yes, ikhatheleke manje ngane abantu lezo. Kanti ubuyisela. Khathele manje. Nengasavuka uma ngithi sathi wenza. All right, guys. Let us just move to this thing of an endocrine system. I'm going to use this a diagram only, just to explain this thing of an endocrine system. Because if you can use this diagram, you can talk about everything in terms of what? In terms of an endocrine system. Right? So in this case, we have this diagram, which is showing negative feedback mechanism of endocrine glands in the human. But I'm not going to talk about the negative feedback mechanism. I will talk about what? About this gland. So you must know that when we talk about this thing here, it shows us about the position of the glands, of the endocrine glands. Knowing very well that our gland A there refers to the hypophysis of the pituitary gland. We've got our gland that is found here, whereby we are going to call, whereby here we just have this thing called the trachea. On either side of the trachea, we have another gland which is here, of which this gland is the one which is referred to as a thyroid gland. Then we have what we call another gland, which is found where? Which is found in the band of a duodenum. That gland which is referred to as the pancreas. Then on top of each kidney, we find another gland which are called the endocrine, which are called the adrenal gland. Then I'm not going to talk about the testes and the ovaries. We'll deal about the testes and the ovaries where in reproduction. So in this case, we must understand that here we've got this gland A and this what we call and this gland called the thyroid gland. Examiners they want, in fact, usually they ask us about these two glands because between these two glands there is one thing called a negative feedback mechanism. So this thing, first thing, we need to understand what hormones are produced by these two glands. By the way, this gland A, it produces a number of what? It produces a number of hormones. For example, it produces the growth hormone, the prolactin, the TSH, FSH, and the LH. Those are the hormones that are prescribed on our exam guideline. The 5 hormones that are produced by what? By this gland. Do not talk about the oxytocin. It was there, it is not there now in our exam guideline. So those are the gland, those are the hormones, the prolactin, the growth hormone, TSH, FSH, and the LH. But you know about the FSH and the LH as well. The only hormone, the growth hormone, I cannot tell you the function of the growth hormone because you know, if they say it's a growth hormone, that is the hormone which brings about the growth and development. Then, the TSH, you know that if you talk about the TSH, that is the hormone that stimulates the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine. Because in this gland, called what we call, in this gland, in this gland, we have what? In this gland, we have what we call, we produce what we call the hormone called thyroxine. So as we do have what? As we do have this thyroid gland here, which we know that it produces what? It produces the thyroxine. We need to understand that if we talk about the negative feedback mechanism between gland A and this gland called the thyroid gland, what we need to talk about is that we know very well that this, if we want to talk about this negative feedback mechanism, we must understand that everything begins with the thyroxine level. Because the negative feedback mechanism that is happening here, it must begin with what? With the thyroxine. Because whatever question that may be asked by the examiners will say that what will happen if the thyroxine level in the blood is low? Or what will happen in the body if the thyroxine level is high? So everything begins with the thyroxine. The problem begins with what? With the thyroxine. So in the case whereby the thyroxine level in the blood is low, what happens? The hypophysis is stimulated. And when the hypophysis is stimulated, it produces more what? This hypophysis, it produces more. It produces more TSH. It produces more thyroid stimulating hormone. Why this hypophysis is producing more? And you must understand this, guys, that if you talk about this negative feedback mechanism, you don't just say that if the thyroxine level is low in the blood, the hypophysis produces TSH. If you say so, you are wrong. One thing that we need you to do there is to say that if the thyroxine level in the blood is low, the hypophysis is stimulated and produces more. The key in this thing is more. It produces more. It must be more. Because we always produce the TSH. But the TSH that we are producing does not have an effect in producing what we call, does not have a more effect in the thyroxine of producing, in what we call, in increasing the thyroxine. But the moment the thyroxine level in the blood is low, then the hypophysis will be stimulated so that the hypophysis produces more TSH. Then if there is more TSH, that more TSH will stimulate the thyroid gland to do what? To produce again more thyroxine. Then the thyroxine level in the blood will increase back to normal. Because in this case, more is important. It's not me, it's not me. Right here. So in this case, we understand now. So in this case, whereby the thyroxine level in the blood is less, what is going to happen? The opposite of what I was talking about here will happen. So if the thyroxine level in the blood is less, what is going to happen now? The hypophysis is also stimulated. And this hypophysis, it produces less what? Less TSH, because the hypophysis is always producing the TSH. But the only thing is that then this hypophysis, it waits for what? It waits for the thyroxine level in the blood. So in the case when the thyroxine level in the blood is low, what is going to happen? The hypophysis will be stimulated, and the hypophysis now will produce what? Will produce less what? It will produce less TSH now. And if there is a less TSH, the thyroid gland will produce what? Will produce less thyroxine, and the thyroxine level in the blood will decrease back to normal, because this is a negative feedback mechanism. In this case now, we know very well now that this thing, which is called the thyroxine, has got the two functions. The two functions of the thyroxine is to do what we call, it is to increase it is to control metabolic rate, is it? It controls the metabolic rate, and it also controls the growth and the functioning of the heart. So in this case, when we say that it controls the metabolic rate, you know that when we talk about the metabolic rate, we also refer to what we call to the respiration. And from grade 10, we know very well that a respiration is the process which occurs in cells in order to produce an energy. And one thing that we know from grade 10 is that there is a carbohydrate that is a source of energy. Which carbohydrate is able to produce more energy? It is the glucose. And we know very well that for the respiration to occur, we need what? We need a glucose. Without a glucose, no respiration. Because a respiration is the breaking down of glucose in the presence of oxygen in order to release then energy. So in the case whereby now in the body there is a shortage of energy, can you tell me which endocrine glands will be involved in order to ensure that the energy is increased? I'm asking you how much over Echozeli, Kayavote. Now, we are running short of energy in our body. Are we together? Are we together there? We are running short of what? Of energy in the body. As we are running short of energy in our bodies, now, what is going to happen now? There are glands that are going to be stimulated in order to ensure that we gain back the energy. We receive what we call more energy. Now the examiner is asking us to name those endocrine glands that are involved in order to ensure that the energy is increased. I'm not waiting for the answer. Let me say something. One thing that we know is that we have the gland, which is referred to as a pancreas, is it? What we know about the pancreas is that the pancreas produces two hormones, is it? Which is an insulin and a glucagon. And we know that the insulin and the glucagon, they control what? They control sugar level or the glucose level, is it? By the way, we know that it is a glucose that needs to be broken down in order to release an energy, is it? What does it mean? So if there is anything that involves the energy, the pancreas must know, is it? And one thing that we know is that if there is anything that deals with the energy, the thyroid gland must know as well. The thyroid gland must know. Why? It is because it is the thyroid gland that is able to produce a thyroxine, of which we know that the thyroxine is there to control a metabolic rate. It is the thyroxine that is going to control what? That is going to control this respiration, which is going to produce an energy, is it? So you know very well now that, in the case where there is a shortage of energy in our body, the thyroid gland must know to make sure that there is a metabolic rate whereby we produce an energy. And then we know very well that the pancreas must know that, so that if the energy is low, the glucagon must be produced to convert more glycogen into glucose, so that the glucose is used to do what we call is used to generate an energy. is it? During a respiration. And we know very well that there is we have another gland which is found on top of each kidney. What gland is this one? The adrenal gland. What is done by the adrenal gland? This adrenal gland, during the reflex action, we know very well what happens. I mean, during what we call, when we are engaged maybe in what we call, in an emergency, we know what is done by the adrenal gland. It is helps to stimulate this glucagon to convert more glycogen into a glucose, so that we have more glucose for the respiration in order to generate an energy, is it? And this says one. To get the thing that when we talk about the energy, we refer to the three glands. What are those glands? We refer to the pancreas. We refer to the thyroid gland, as well as the adrenal gland. A reason? Because they all talk about what we call, they all talk about the energy, is it? Then, in this case, let me say that now, if the examiner maybe is saying that when an athlete is engaged in a marathon, that's an athlete. The athlete is running a marathon. You know very well that if the athlete is running a comrades marathon, for example, that athlete, it needs an energy. You can't walk, you can't run from Pietermaritzburg to Durban without an energy. So what is required there? The only thing that we need when we are running a marathon, we need what? We need an energy. So what glands are going to provide us with this energy now? Thyroid gland, pancreas, and adrenal gland. Is it? Do you guys see? What is the role? Now, if the examiner said that now, just explain. Now, when you are running a marathon, why the TSH will be high during the time you are running? Only now. We are just talking about the TSH now. We forget now about the pancreas now. We forget about what? About the adrenal gland now. When you are running a race now, why the TSH level must be high? Can you give the reasons? Why? Do you think that the thyroid gland must produce, the hypophysis must produce? In this case now, I never talk about the hypophysis, is it? I just talk about what? About the three glands that are required in order to in order to ensure that the energy is always there. But now I'm running a race now. Now I need the hypophysis now to ensure that the level of the TSH is always high during the race. Why there is a need for that? It is because we understand that this thing called a TSH is the one that is able to do what? It is the TSH that will stimulate what? It is the TSH that is going to, that needs to remain high in the blood. In order to do what? In order to ensure that there is more secretion of the thyroxine. So that this thyroxine, which is produced by the thyroid gland, will do what? Will control a metabolic rate, or will increase now a metabolic rate, so that the energy for running a race is there. Do you understand? Do you understand why this hypophysis is now involved now in ensuring that the energy is there? It is because it is the hypophysis that is going to ensure that it produces more TSH. So once the TSH is produced, that TSH from the pituitary gland will do what? Will stimulate the thyroid gland in order to do what? In order to produce more thyroxine, so that this thyroxine is able to do what? Is able to do what we call it, to increase a metabolic rate, so that the energy is produced for running a race. Siyazwana batawethu. In this case, we are running a marathon. Then now, we can just say here, we want to maintain the normal level of what we call of the energy.
Why also increase the glucagon level in the blood?
For example, why the blood glucose levels were maintained normal during running a race? Why? We need this glucose level to be maintained. Or how the blood glucose levels, how the blood glucose level is maintained when we are running a race? See, maintain the glucose level when we are running a race. So if we are running a race, the glucose level will be maintained by what? Our glucose level will be maintained by what? By the hormones of what? By the hormones of what? Because in this case, we are only talking about the glucose. There is only one hormone that is able to maintain a glucose level high. The only hormone which can ensure that the glucose level is always high during the race, it is only the glucagon, is it? So when we are running a race, how do we maintain our glucose level in the blood? So it is because of what? When the blood glucose level is dropping during the race, what happens? The pancreas will be stimulated and the pancreas will secrete more glucagon. And this glucagon will be produced into the blood, isn't it? And then the blood will carry this, what we call it, will carry this glucagon into the liver cells and the muscle cells, so that it converts more glycogen into glucose, and then the glucose level in the blood increases back to normal, so that more energy is produced during a race. Do you see this thing, guys? Teachers. Because one thing which happens is that we know very well that, oh, there's a pancreas producing a glucagon and an insulin. The only thing that we need to tell our learners is the thing that is this fight from the examiners that we need to make sure that it doesn't kill us. Because examiners are fighting with the learners. Learners may have a content and teachers do have the content. But the way in which examiners are asking questions, that's where the learners they get failed. Yeah. So in this case, that is why, once you know this content, you have to play around this content, asking about the different things, because examiners, they want the learners now to apply more than reproducing what they've been taught by the teachers. That is the only thing that is needed by the examiners, the application part, is it? Because in this case, we have never taught your learners about the marathon. You have never taught your learners about the soccer player, is it? So if the examiner is coming with the soccer player now, and including that TSH, the learner will not understand why the soccer player, the TSH. The teacher is just talking about something else. But the examiner knows very well that if there is a soccer player, you cannot play soccer without an energy. So you know very well now that if you don't have an energy, so there are those parts that may produce an energy for you so that you can be able to play soccer, is it? Then now, in order to produce that energy, the energy cannot just be simply produced. There are what we call it, there are glands that are there to produce certain hormones in order to ensure that they stimulate those parts to produce an energy. For example, hypophysis will be stimulated to produce more TSH, so that the TSH will stimulate the thyroid gland to produce more thyroxine. And the thyroxine will increase the metabolic rate. And once the metabolic rate is increased, showcase, there will be an increase in energy. Then we'll be able to play soccer. Then, let me say, because now it's 5-1. Thank you very much. It was nice to be with you guys. Hello? Machua?
Hello.
You need to go home now. It's time. Pungashe? Go out to enjoy yourself. Buy something there from Boxer or Pungashe. Now it's my time to go. Can I go home now? Eh?
No.
Why? What do you want from me now?
You're still learning.
Pardon? Revolution.
Evolution.
Hey, there's no revolution here. It's an economic revolution now, or evolution. For the evolution, I think we are coming back on the 9th of September. Yeah, on the 9th of September, we are coming back. Then I'll be presenting that evolution for you guys. You are a very good audience. Thank you very much. It was nice to be with you.